Yeah, recording. Yeah, finally. Anyways, hi everyone, welcome to the Semi-Bookish podcast. This is Adrian, District Library's one and only podcast. We are... Gosh, I don't know. What are we entertaining ourselves with, folks?
We're pumped. Oh.
We're pumped? Why are we pumped? Tony, are you pumped for something? Well, Tony's pumped for this episode idea today.
Reading, yes. So, okay, I guess.
But start us off, because, I just called you out.
Okay, so I am currently... I'll just start with gaming, because it's easier, because I am currently waiting to play a game, waiting for a hotspot, honestly, so that I can download the game that I've already purchased, called Echoes of the End, which is one of the two games I'm hoping to get to in the next month, because the other one is a secret, which I'm not telling anybody until I start. Erin knows, but,
Yeah, you told me, and then
she's the one who recommended it to me, and I'm waiting until I have gotten at least a few hours in before I devote. I'll tell you later, Grant. But
I'm excited.
No, you're not being kept out of the public.
Honestly, I might make it my birthday episode back next in April.
Oh, that could be fun
to see. So Grant will end up playing it, but also so we can talk about it because I feel like you will like it. Anyways,
that'd be fun. So there's that secret game that I won't talk about for a while, and also the game Echoes of the End, which just looks like they took all the mechanics of Jedi Survivor and threw it into a middle-aged setting. Or Middle Ages, medieval setting, with a female lead character in armor. So, and not lady armor, but like armor, which I'm really excited about. So, fighting giant animals and knights and like trolls and like there's like these giant like clearly not spiders or ants or anything sort of like that because their abdomens are like completely different. Think of like stick bugs. Mm-hmm. It's basically like a giant stick bug, but for some reason with like Granddaddy Longleg legs. It makes no sense whatsoever, this little creature thing, but it looks fun to want to fight. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, and then what am I watching right now? I'm technically kind of the most recent thing I've been watching is My Hero again, but I'm kind of always watching My Hero because October has not happened yet and I'm still waiting.
Is that the next season?
That's the final season.
That's the final season?
Indeed it is. And I'm not going to watch Vigilantes until I've seen the final season of the main series just because I have questions and I want answers and
I don't know if you'll get those answers, but you'll do your best.
I'll get answers. I'm not.
They're gonna be headcanon answers.
Yes, I'm fully aware that there are things that I want to happen in the story that just this story is not designed to do or this creator is not interested in, and I'm completely okay with that because I trust him. I can't wait to see what he does next because he's a phenomenal storyteller. And,
okay.
So yes, I've been rewatching My Hero basically just because I like to rewatch things. And then reading-wise, actually, that's where all the excitement is happening. Apart from the thing that we're going to discuss today, I am currently reading a book called The Corruption of Hollis Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You were telling me about this.
Written by Kay Ancrum, a YA author of not enough repute, because this book is really good. The craftsmanship in and of itself makes me very, very proud to be able to read this book as a writer, because I feel like there are readers who are going to read it as readers and they'll get a great story and great characters and all that kind of, the stuff that we connect to books over. But as writers, we can see all the underpinnings,
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the underpinnings of this book is really fun. And it's not written for that purpose, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just so well put together that teasing apart all of those different layers that she's working, operating under is really cool. And to be perfectly honest, who knows when she incorporated all those things, because writing is so messy, but they're there. And that's what makes it fun. For anyone who doesn't know what the book is about, it's about this teenager named Hollis Brown. Apparently it's set in Michigan, but I haven't gotten far enough to really
figure out where.
I could see it being in the UP because it's set in a really small town, and it gives me sort of like everything everyone said about the UP. It kind of gives that vibe. And Chicago is mentioned in kind of like a nonchalant kind of way, but it's like, yeah, but Chicago's a major hub surrounded by Midwestern states that have small towns, so it could be anywhere. But small Midwestern town, kid named Hollis Brown, he's a teenager, and he, through a series of rather bizarre events, early on in the book, gets possessed by a ghost who is clearly from a different generation, and the ghost and him are not comfortable at first, but they end up falling in love with each other. And then by the time Hollis's friends realize, oh wait, he's been possessed by a ghost, hey, let's perform an exorcism, the two have gotten to a point where they don't want to be split from each other, and now they have to figure out how to tell Hollis's friends, we don't want an exorcism, we like being together, kind of thing. So I'm still about the first third of the way through, and I'll finish the rest. It reads pretty quickly, but it's a really, really, really good book. And then my queued up book, I'm going to be co-reading together Blood at the Root and Children of Blood and Bone.
Ooh.
Just because...
Lots of blood.
Yes, lots of blood.
Buns.
Lots of black people, lots of magic. But a decade of YA writing that I'm really interested in looking at, because Children of Blood and Bone was published in, I think 2017, and then in 2024, Blood at the Root was published. And there's something really fascinating in that time period that no one's paying attention to. So I'm going to pay attention to it because I'm me and I'm black and I'm petty. So,
I love that for you. Yes?
What are you being entertained by?
Not much. However, I have been playing Inzoi a lot more lately than any other game that I'm playing.
What is it?
Inzoi.
Okay.
Inzoi's kind of like...
It's been called the Sims Killer, but
Yeah, but it's not.
It's not the Sims Killer.
Is it literally just like Sims kind of?
It's a life sim.
Okay.
It is currently early access. It came out a while ago, originally, and it was supposed to be the Sims Killer. It's what it was supposed to end up being.
Okay.
Honestly, it's not that. It is honestly, I consider it to be something completely of its own compared to The Sims. I think there's space in the world for both. I don't think we need to worry about this one's gonna kill this one, or this one's not even worth it. And a lot of people complain right now because there's not a lot of features, or there's not a lot happening. And I'm like,
it's a new game.
It's early access, of course.
Right, exactly.
But essentially, so right now I am playing with the two cities that they have right now.
Mm-hmm.
You can't travel between cities, so you have to have two different saves.
Oh.
But I'm trying to just kind of exploring to see which one I like better in terms of making the one that I use the most of. I have my aging off right now, so I can do whatever my character wants to do. You can literally get yourself thrown into jail for stealing from ATMs. It's really funny. A lot of people also just call it GTA, but for women. And I'm like, GTA for women is GTA, so I don't know what you mean by that, but okay.
Anyway.
And so tomorrow they're coming out, so on the 20th, they're coming out with, it's an update. It's not really a DLC, but they're kind of calling it one, but
Sure.
it's, if you bought the early access game, you're already getting this because this is a feature that they were already touting as going to be a feature. We're getting a new world that's a more island Indonesia-based world where there's 3 different islands, and it's instead of focusing on jobs and stuff, it's more focusing on crafting and farming and things like that. And there's more hurricanes, and it's interesting. So we'll see how that goes. And then, meanwhile, I'm also playing Starfield because I am swearing to all that is holy I'm finally going to finish this game. The answer is probably not, but I am trying.
Yeah.
And then, thirdly, I also have been playing more of Trash Goblin because I think I mentioned that last time.
Oh, yeah.
How I'm, obsessed with this little cute game. Yes. Absolutely obsessed. It is a great, just, mind-numbing experience to the point where, you can change... So when you're chiseling out the different artifacts, you can change it so that way the thing, as long as you're just hovering over it, just automatically does it. So I'm not sitting there clicking the button 1,000 times. So it's great because then it's not hurting my hands. It's very friendly and accessible that way. But you can basically just get artifacts and you can combine them together and sell them, and you can clean them, and then people have requests and you can do those requests. There's a 12-hour little mini storyline, and I'm like, that's so cute.
Oh. Wow.
So you're actually playing something, but you don't have to abide by following it, and there's no bad ending,
Yeah.
So it's just kind of my mind is just numbingly creating artifacts, and I'm having a great time.
Nice.
So
I like that.
That's what's entertaining me right now.
Nice.
I'm sure there will be more entertainment later because I downloaded Borderlands 3, and I played 2. I have 2. I've played 2, but Borderlands 3 like ages ago was on sale for like literally like the whole entire thing for like $10.
Nice.
Like with all the DLC and everything, and so I was like that.
I love the gameplay of Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
The story's kind of meh compared to the other two,
I mean, I wouldn't know. Like, I played 2. I loved 2.
Yeah.
It's just so where I'll see where I get when I get back into this.
Sure.
But I have like a list of games that I need to start finishing, and I haven't gotten that far yet. So, as I finish them, you will know. Grant.
Hey, that's me.
Hey, that is you. Congratulations.
You didn't think we were going to let you sit over there and say nothing, did you?
No, that certainly wasn't my plan.
Guess what? It
He
was
says
actually the
that
plan.
now. Oh, yeah, exactly.
All right. What is entertaining me? Well, I went up to Lowell, Michigan over the weekend to visit a dear friend, and we ended up watching Weapons, which is a new horror movie that came out.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Is it a horror movie?
It is,
a horror
yeah.
movie, yep.
Yep.
Love that.
Elements of comedy, which will make sense once I tell you the director, who is Zach Kreger, who is most well known for being 1/4 of The Widest Kid You Know back in the day, the sketch comedy group.
I love it.
Okay.
Tony has no idea who they are, but I do.
Yeah, if you were a certain age and you had a certain type of sense of humor,
Sure.
you probably know who they are.
If you were an internet kid during like the mid 2000s to the 2010s, and you were in middle school and high school, you know who they are.
Yeah.
Dane wasn't one of them, was he? Dane, what's his name?
I don't think so.
No.
You're not Dane Cook?
Yeah.
No, Dane Cook is
Dane
a world
like
away from
way
that.
older
thank
than
goodness.
that.
All
No,
right. That
absolutely
works.
not.
That's good.
Nope.
That's
No.
good to know. Okay.
This is
Yeah,
like a
yes.
sketch comedy group. Like they were like maybe like early 20s.
Because I've heard the mention, but I'm not familiar with anything beyond that, really. Obviously.
Yeah, they have
They're kind of like a more lower budget Lonely Island.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Minus the music.
That's very right. Okay.
Mostly.
Okay, cool. So the movie had some humor because of this.
I think so.
Probably,
Just
yeah.
kind of him bringing some of his sensibilities.
Sure.
His previous movie, Barbarian, I enjoyed. Also a horror movie with slight comedic leanings.
Yeah.
I do like this more though. It's good.
Nice.
Basically, the premise is small Midwestern town in the middle of the night. All of these children from one specific classroom, like elementary classroom, leave their homes and disappear.
That sounds hilarious.
And so,
okay.
and so the whole town is, up in arms. What happened to our kids? Blah 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 blah. A lot of the blame ends up going towards the teacher.
Wow.
Okay.
Played by Julia Garner, and she's great. And so the way it's divvied up, we follow. It's kind of sorted into chapters, each one following a different character over the same 2 days.
Okay.
It's kind of an Rashomon style where we see the same events play over, but different perspectives and stuff. I think that worked really well.
Yeah.
Especially for a horror movie. It almost felt like a Stephen King novel in a way.
Oh.
Yeah, Josh Brolin. Is that his name? Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin is in this movie?
Yeah, Josh Brolin. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's great.
He's always great.
Yeah. I mean, really no complaints as far as that goes. Early on, there are some minor jump scares, dream sequences that I don't completely vibe with.
Okay.
Maybe it's kind of to pull in the normies a little bit. I don't know.
Sure.
But it gets a lot more atmospheric and kind of bonkers as it goes on.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Definitely worth a watch. I wouldn't say it's quite as good as some of the high praise I've seen.
Sure.
But it is kind of a breath of fresh air, as far as compared to some other generic horror movies that have been coming out. So definitely good. On the other side of the spectrum, I unfortunately watched Kraven the Hunter.
Oh,
Which-
is it as bad as every
It's-
trailer makes me believe that it is?
It's god awful. It's really, really bad. PS2 level special effects. It's
Like
it's bad. It's
legitimate PlayStation 2 special effects.
at times.
That's enough.
That's enough for me right there.
And for a movie that leans so heavily on like animal action and stuff,
2003 called. They want their special effects
it's not
back.
pretty.
Oh.
And it's just, paint by numbers, Marvel, except worse. It's a Netflix original, not as big of a budget. It's just, I didn't find anything worthwhile in it. So,
yeah.
And if you like it, whatever.
It was a studio cash cow.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, they've been doing that a lot lately. So
Yeah, Madam Web.
Yeah.
Anybody? Although that didn't really work as their cash cow either.
They tried.
I guess
did
neither
not.
one of those movies really worked as cash cows because nobody went to go see them. And anybody who did regretted it.
Wasn't Morbius part of that too?
Yeah, but Morbius actually did well.
Did it?
As a cult classic. Like, I don't know if it did
because
well.
it was bad.
Because it was bad. I don't think it did well in theaters, but people literally would show up, like, would purchase sequels at Blockbusters and things. Well, maybe not Blockbusters, but you know what I mean? Wherever you can find these kinds of things. Because the first one was so bad that they were like, ooh, can it get worse? Like, I've seen those threads, and I'm like, okay, Reddit thread, this is a little unhinged, but sure.
So I guess now we'll see where Marvel takes it now because they're trying to redo the whole entire MCU.
Yeah, no, after Endgame, they just kind of lost the plot. They really have no direction as far as I can tell.
And I wish they would just come off it already and say that. Like, I get it. You want a lot of praise from us who followed you those first 4 phases. You did it once. Good job. No one has ever done that again. It's going to be a while before someone has the money and the capability to do it again, if we can ever hold that kind of structure. Just admit that you went wrong somewhere and that you're not even trying to come back on board. Like, just, like, Star Wars did that, and I think that people have complained less about new Star Wars content in the last 2 years than they have when every year or so you would expect a new Star Wars movie, and that gave the movie-going public something to complain about because if you can, you will, right? But once Star Wars said, we're not taking Star Wars to the movies anymore. Sorry, guys, we're done. We're going to focus on, Disney Plus only. Well, anyone who doesn't have a Disney Plus subscription
Isn't going to complain about it.
isn't going to complain, and anyone who doesn't care
Isn't going to care.
isn't going to watch it. So it's like, suddenly, they could just do what they wanted to do.
Listen.
And sometimes you get Andor, and sometimes you get The Acolyte. Sorry, Acolyte people, but not sorry. It's not good.
Listen, the only Marvel things I'm into right now is Daredevil and Spider-Man. And that's all I care about.
It's all about Eyes of Wakanda and the Ironheart for me, but neither of which I've watched, but they're Ryan Coogler, so I'm not going to be mad.
That's fine.
Honestly,
That's
I think Craven might be it for me.
Like
Until I hear
at the
differently.
end. Yeah.
I'll watch Born Again for you and let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Granted,
By which
I feel like I'm going to be biased because I have an adoration for Charlie Cox, but that's just me.
I mean, if the plot is Charlie Cox, I'm not mad about it. He's also the costume. He's also the actor. I'm not mad about it. I mean,
It's fair.
It's Charlie Cox. Have you seen him?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I was going to say. Sorry, were
No,
you
no.
entertained by any other things
Before
before I...
He was disentertained by Craven the Hunter.
It was negative entertainment, whatever the opposite of entertainment is. Outertainment.
Craven the Hunter.
Disentertainment.
I mean, game wise, I've been playing the open beta for Battlefield 6, which is fine.
Okay, sure.
The discourse around it is, as it is around anything nowadays, it's polar opposites. It's either like saving the series or it's a Call of Duty clone and it's ruining everything. So I played it. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's still a little glitchy, but it's beta. So
That's how I feel. I'm like,
Right.
it's fine
I
for
just-
what it
yeah.
is. It's fine.
and it's okay that it's fine.
Yeah, like as a mini rant against our current entertainment culture and people who like to comment on it, I would like to submit the idea that maybe read the whole book, play the whole game, watch the whole movie or TV series
No, if
before
somebody
you
doesn't-
comment on it. Like this whole thing of like, I saw the trailer and oh gosh, this is the downfall like I knew it was going to be. And you're like, it's a 2-minute trailer.
Not only do I not care about your opinion, I that makes me think less of you as a person.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Or no, the most recent one. Okay, here's the most recent one, and then I will be done with this. So, apparently,
I'm ready for this rant.
there was a shot, just a single
I should have brought popcorn.
photograph from the set of Greta Gerwig's much anticipated Netflix Narnia movie, right? Just a single picture, right?
Didn't people just start freaking out because they're like,
the picture, they're like,
it's
this is not the-
1950s.
yes,
We're
they're
getting modern
they're like,
pensives.
she's starting with the magician's nephew, but clearly doesn't know what she's doing because that's clearly Lucy, and she's clearly in the 50s, and she's clearly in the wrong time period, and blah blah blah. And I'm going, either that, or what you don't know is you're looking at a flashback or a flash forward. You don't even have any context. You have a literal image of a small girl child in period clothing.
Was the image leaked, or was it actually supposed to be released?
I'm not sure if it was leaked or if it was just one of those like early behind the scenes release kinds of things.
Because it might not even
that EW does, you know.
Yeah.
But it was clearly out of context. Like the people who were commenting on it most had no idea what they were looking at, but they were trying to assume a position of authority on something that they're literally only seeing a picture of.
Get a life.
And exactly. That's the kind of thing that I'm like, if we kill the internet, we can destroy these kinds of idiocies.
I'm getting close.
I would think, but if we kill the internet, then we wouldn't be able to tell the world about this book that we've just finished reading. Hint, hint, nod, nod.
So, we've been talking forever about doing this nonfiction book thing.
Yay!
And so finally, we are here to talk about my pick of books,
Which
is A Taste for Poison by Neil Bradbury,
PhD.
11 Deadly Molecules and the Killers Who Used Them. And so this was my pick. I picked it because I like books. If you listened to a previous episode where we talked about nonfiction and why we like certain genres or topics in nonfiction, I talked about how I like to learn new things and I like things that draw me in, and they're about like weird things, and they're just not about like what you would normally pick as a nonfiction book, which is usually like your biographies or your political memoirs or your
there are self-help books too.
Those two, which I don't like.
Yes.
And this is one of those books where I picked something that was just kind of like you're learning something new, but at the same time you're also very entertained by the stories that they're telling. And so that is why I picked this one.
Yeah.
Tony literally looked at me when I first walked in today and was like, oh my god, I need to start telling you about this thing, and then got pulled away. So Tony, I really want to hear what you think about this book.
I told Erin I would be yelling at her about poisons today because I want to yell at her about poisons today. Frankly, I want to yell at everybody about poisons for the next few weeks because this book is so... I think the thing that I found the most engaging, because I'm listening to it on audiobook, the thing that I found the most engaging is kind of twofold. One, the fact that this Neil Bradbury PhD, which it literally says on the front of the book,
PhD?
The fact that he was able to distance himself enough from the academics in his life on something that he's clearly very educated on.
He's a professor of physiology and biophysics.
Well, there you go. So he
teaches and conducts research on genetic diseases.
Well, there you go. So the fact that he was able to take his incredible, vast amounts of knowledge and distill it into... It's not just distilling it into a book like this where you can take, like, for example, with this studies 11 poisons up really closely, that kind of thing, and approaches it at a different angle with each, or a similar angle with each chapter, but, you're getting 11 poisons sort of discussed in length, right? That's one thing. That's a book. That's just what books do, right? In order to get people, particularly modern books, in order to get people to buy it, in order to get people to read it, you have to have a hook or an angle or something. That's one thing. That's a publisher mandate. To actually pull it off as an academic writer and not write something that you're used to discussing way up here.
Yep. He makes it very just like easy to understand.
Yeah, very easy. Yeah.
Kind of how he talks about things as he starts talking about like whatever the poison is, and then he'll talk about like a little blurb about the actual poison itself, like how it came to be. He'll talk about like the actual etymology of the word, like for the poison, like what it means.
Yeah.
And then not only do you get like one story per like poison, you get like multiple stories.
Yeah, because
poison.
Because the stories are typically kind of like not always wrapped up in each other, but oftentimes they are, just because they're sort of like, if you think of like, and this is something I don't think I realized before reading this book about how, like, at least with the poisons that are examined, what makes them interesting is that up until the point where they were discovered in a criminal court case where someone tried to poison someone else for whatever reason, it was used commonly. Like what he talks about in strychnine, where like basically because strychnine was so common as rat poison, or I forget what it was called, because butlers could go get butlers and housekeepers could go and get, I think they literally called it butler's powder or something like that. Like it was a common everyday occurrence. You left it in your home for those reasons, but
like aconite or like things like that.
Aconite, and so there are other like white powders that, because scientific study, it was not where it would end up by the end of the 19th century. In the early parts of the 19th century, doctors were literally going, well, this white powder didn't work, let's try another one, simply because it was a bitter white powder. And they're like, well, one of these will work. And, people
were playing Alchemy IRL from Skyrim, where in Skyrim you have to literally, like, taste the item to get, like, one of the little, like, attributes of said item, and sometimes it wants to kill you, and sometimes it doesn't.
It's like negative 15 damage to lungs for setting oneself on fire, and you're like, but I just ate a blue-colored plant.
I just ate a butterfly wing. What do you mean I'm frozen for 5 minutes?
Yeah, but they were doing this with like strychnine and like these serious like things that we now, those of us who've been anywhere near an Agatha Christie novel, we now know, hey, these are poisons, but it was really, really fascinating just getting a nice detailed overview or outlook on like when these poisons were first discovered as poisons and how they were utilized then, and then like I really like how he follows that up towards the end of each chapter with like a biological breakdown of like, okay, so this is what strychnine is in certain forms, here's what it is in its heaviest dosage, here's what it is in lighter doses, and then here's how it affects the body regardless of the dosage. And it lets you like sort of realize like, oh, okay, so if this was in a heavier dosage, it would just be doing more of this, which means you literally would die. And it gives you just like that kind of reality of like, oh, this drug makes you asphyxiate because of what it's doing to your lungs, or this drug makes you
which is really cool to like see like an like, could you read, like, for example, like, I read, like, medical papers for fun. Why? Yeah. Because I get a kick out of reading medical papers and learning new things.
Yeah.
But, like, this is done in such a way that's not only easy for people to understand, but also, like, shows us, like, this is how science has evolved. So it takes those, like, this takes, like, those medical papers that's filled with jargon that the only person who's going to understand it is people who like to look up words for fun, or people who... Doctors or students. Like, they're the only people who know, like, what this thing is. But he takes it and he makes it more palatable to the everyday person.
Yeah.
Not only in a way that, like, makes it easier to read, but makes it more fun. Because, like, he's trying to utilize, like, these court cases. Like, I think this is in the true crime section or the health section. And honestly, could go in either one.
It's in 615.
615, that's health.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, like, it's in the health section, but with the way that some of these are, they could go. This book could also just go in true crime. And so all of the true crime baddies who like to read true crime will really much enjoy this book.
Yeah, because he literally, every single chapter, he brings
has a court case.
Court cases where these things were first sort of discovered. And I love how he gives you, like, he does some sort of narrative nonfiction with some of it, too, and gives you a reason to relate to the person.
You're entertained by the story the whole time.
Yeah, and then you just like you realize like, oh, well, maybe he didn't know how this person felt about the life this person lived, because how could you know? But at the same time, it makes me realize this is a human being who was just poisoned. Or in the case of that one lady in the book, I don't know if you guys remember this, the one woman who was poisoning her entire old folks home where she was staying because she planned on poisoning herself the next year to be rid of herself from life, because I don't know, she just felt like she needed to. But she needed to test. She needed a test group first. So she used all the other residents as her test group. And it wasn't until she said it in, like, I think it was like a private one-on-one with her, like, personal nurse or whoever it was at that place that she said it to them. And they were the whistleblower. And they were like, this lady's poisoning all of us. The reason we've been sick for the last month. But she didn't kill any of them. That's the thing. Like, she was testing the poison dosage to see, like, how far do I have to go before anyone dies? What is that death going to look like? And then she was going to just then do that to herself. And it's like, that's kind of like, it zeroes in on that whole idea of like, table salt could be a poison with the right dosage kind of idea, right? I don't think table salt actually could be. I don't know.
think you look at your kitchen differently. I mean,
It did, right? Yeah, I kept like eyeing the bag of sugar in my cupboard that I had bought the day before I started reading this book, and I was like, how much sugar is too much? Like, could I accidentally poison myself with a cup of coffee? Because some of these cases, they, you know, there was the one woman who survived because this guy went on a killing spree. I think it was the Aconite guy. He went on a killing spree of hookers and thought she had died, and then she saw her name in the newspaper because he was up for trial, and she was already suspected dead. She showed up at court and was like, I can't tell you how I died because I'm still living, but I can tell you about my attempted murder at the hands of this man. Like, things, I found all that to be really fascinating. Grant, what were your thoughts? I've been yelling. Well, not yelling, but, you know.
No, I mean, because I admittedly, I did not finish it, but...
I still have 3 hours left.
We have a few hours left, each of us, but,
Yeah.
like, honestly, I think the idea is that, like, we understand what this book is about, and we know exactly what...
And I definitely concur that the audiobook is very good. The narrator does a great job.
Yeah.
And it's very early on. It might be the very first one, and if it is, I think it's a good way to start it. It's the insulin one, because it takes something that, in our modern world, you know, you think of as something that helps people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like a benign substance, but really, it has to be very carefully regulated, and obviously, somebody misused that to kill his wife.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And he almost got away with it because, you know, it just wasn't well known at the time. But,
Yeah.
yeah. No.
Yeah. I do think it is interesting how, and again, I mean, he selected 11 poisons. I'm assuming that at a certain point, he looked at the 11 and was like, okay, or whatever list he had, maybe if he even had a list, and was just like, okay, these would be it would be most useful to write about these because they have a certain history or track record that is familiar. Because all of them, it's not like you could, if you were especially listening to it, you could make the mistake of thinking that you were listening to the insulin chapter, but you were really actually listening to the alkaline chapter, or not alkaline, but the aconite chapter, or whatever, because they are, you know, he's frequently talking about alkaloids, which he explains, which is really nice. But because each chapter has a sort of a really unforgettable example of how this came to be known as a poison, it does break down evenly, like chapter to chapter.
It was ricin, by the way.
In a readable way.
Ricin.
They use that.
It was ricin, the plant one, right?
The one, the lady in the nursing home.
Oh, that was ricin. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Where she tried to do it from castor beans or whatever, and then she tried to sprinkle it in people's food. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Ricin is also a plot point in Breaking Bad, if you've ever seen that.
Is it really?
Is it?
Yeah.
Huh?
It's used as like an supposedly undetectable like poison.
Right, yeah.
Well, it's because it pretty much is, because all you need is like 3 micrograms for it to actually do anything.
Okay, so the last chapter I was listening to last night, because this is the kind of book we're talking about, it's a book club, I'm sorry, get over it. But no.
Welcome to book club.
Yeah, right. So the chapter I was listening to last night had me completely, literally, like, okay, fine. I'm playing Lord of the Rings Conquest, which I can play literally all day long and listen to audiobooks at the same time. It's great for
very
audiobook
replayable.
listening. It is. So I'm literally throwing fireballs at orcs and trolls as Gandalf. But you know what's more interesting than that? The whole KGB story.
They love their poisons.
That was crazy. I was like, wait, what? Like, that whole... the way it all came together.
That's also in
Is
Ricin. But
that
it's
the
also,
Ricin chapter?
There's Ricin where there's a guy named Markov who got assassinated.
Yes, Markov. Yeah.
But there's also polonium, which is another. There's more KGB ones. There's another KGB one.
Is that the one where they like dropped it in his drink or whatever at a restaurant?
I feel like that might be the Ricin one.
Oh.
Yep, contaminated coffee cup.
Coffee cup, that's what it was. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That just, again, like, the stories that he selected for this book, which again, if you're someone who studies these things, you're gonna be aware of, or at least be aware of where to look of what makes these stories attractive, especially once you set them all in a row together. It's like, oh, wow, how many times in history, particularly in the late 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, did people accidentally and or intentionally poison people? You know, and I love how Agatha Christie gets a really nice spotlight in this, just because before it was known that she was someone who studied poisons, her very first published book, period, Mysterious Affair at Styles, has a strychnine poisoning murder, and the pharmaceutical, publication, like a pharmaceutical, nonfiction pharmaceutical publication of the day, literally gave the book a positive review because they said that she clearly had studied, or they suspected that she had studied poisons, because she described to the detail how strychnine poisoning would work, and that she was absolutely accurate on that. And of course, you know, now we know that she did study poisons. She literally studied pharmacology, which is why so many people got poisoned in her books. But it's just, it's nice to sort of, every time there's a quote from, because he starts each chapter off with, you know, those quotes from different books and things, including a quote from the series not to be named, which is fine, because, I mean, you know, it gives
It's
you
everywhere, it permeates everywhere.
Monkshood and Wolfsbane.
It's aconite.
It's aconite, yeah, and it's nice too, because it's like sort of as a fantasy person, it was kind of a nice realization of like, oh yeah, that's right, that's why they burnt witches at the stake, because they knew what the poisons were.
They studied these things and they learned this.
Yeah, and they lived in communities where people were like, no.
Don't eat that plant.
Yeah, don't eat that.
That berry is poisonous right there.
Yeah, don't go around the witch's house, because, you know, she might poison you. You know, I don't know. But it's just an interesting, not anecdote, but how that quote can sort of like, especially because the time period in a lot of this is happening, you have these sort of overlapping scientific discoveries and studies and all that kind of thing. So it's like, it's a really active time for scientific discovery, not like now. Not that that's a shade to...
It's a shade.
It's a shade.
It's a shade.
But no, it's interesting just to think about, like, the literal court cases that are happening with these people. The doctors looking at, I can't remember. I think it was either strychnine or whatever the other one is. With the A, something. It wasn't atropine, but it was the other one, the other A word.
Wasn't aconite, wasn't it?
Aconite, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it was either strychnine or
because there's
aconite.
arsenic, aconite, atropine.
Yeah, it wasn't atropine, but I think it was aconite, where the doctors, because that's the one that he was poisoning the hookers, and the doctors show up to look at the first two, and they're like, well, we know they were poisoned, but the poisons that we have cattle, they don't work like this. So we don't know what we're looking at. And like, basically this guy skated up, because the only reason he did it, apparently, because he started by poisoning his brother-in-law. because his brother-in-law's money would get him enough money so that he could fulfill his opioid addiction. So he went to
drugs. It's all because of drugs.
Not cleverly, by the way. This man goes to his brother-in-law's school, where he is still studying as a student, and the kid is already a crippled kid. Like, he's gone through enough of his life where some disease in the family or something has happened to him, where he's like in a he's wheelchair bound, and he's all these things, you know, in the 19th century.
He's Tiny
version.
Tim. We get the idea.
Yeah. So then he goes to the school, talks to the headmaster, and literally poisons the child right in front of the headmaster, and then is like, goodbye, and goes home.
Oh yeah, literally says that he has a capsule of sugar, and he goes, here, take a pill.
Yes. And he just vanishes. And hours later, after the kid has been, you know, rescued barely from being poisoned, they arrest the guy, and I'm like, well, no, darling.
He was literally poisoned right there.
He was poisoned within the same 5 hours after this person visited this child, which, by the way, I'm assuming he never did. That screams he probably wants your money, kid. More than
I'm wondering, and this is just a controversial question. Like, not really book related, but also book related. So, do you think we found all of the poisons that we could ever find?
Probably
Ever? Or do you think we might find more, discover more?
Well, that depends on what you believe is underneath those melting ice caps. There's
Zombie virus?
there's the
Zombie virus!
there's all of that talk, which I tend to discredit quickly. I mean, there are real scientific journals that are exploring like the actualities of things that are buried
I think
underneath
we have
those,
another pandemic germ under there, but we don't know about it yet.
because we don't know what those bodies will.
But we also
bring
I
up,
say pandemic germ not because of I think it's going to be something like COVID, but I think it's probably for example we're all generally immune to certain types of diseases and stuff because we've either had vaccines or we've had already been sick with those things, or we have herd immunity now because everybody's been sick with it so much, or that germ has fallen out of disuse or it's mutated, so we don't have that original one anymore.
Right.
I think in those glaciers you might have some diseases that we've probably as a human embodiment have seen before.
Yeah.
But in this current generation day and age have not experienced because they have fallen out or they've been frozen. They've been frozen for who knows how long. And so once that comes out, that's where I think it's going to be very interesting.
Well, and I think too because
Wear your mask.
It's all. Not all, but so much of this is plant-based, the fact that that I loved this little factoid that it was saying basically with a lot of, particularly with alkaloids, the plant, it's literally waste that the plant is getting rid of and saying, we don't need this anymore. This is not nutritious. This is not.
I don't want to play with you anymore.
Yeah, and then human beings, of course, because of who we are, we come along and we're like, hey, look,
stuff.
Plant poop. And, scrape it up and discover there's properties in them, their hills, whatever.
I mean, we did that with milk. We've done that with, almost anything.
It's
some human has to be
we're scavengers.
Smart and dumb enough at the same time to go, let's try it out. And then they try it out and we find out what happens.
Yeah, we're scavengers. I think that's probably the most fascinating and yet also terrifying element of the human condition
nature.
Is that's what we do. We love to discover and uncover and recover and all those kinds of things, but also we don't tend to recognize when it's going to kill us all until it's already killed us all. So who knows? I mean, there could be with new if there was plant life discovered, melt that's underneath all that melting ice, that could present opportunities for new poisons. But you never know because there's always, with these, it wasn't that they were new poisons as much as they were a new application of something that was
we already have
used as something else.
Like insulin, for example.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I do think that as difficult as it may be for us to encounter something like that accidentally, somebody's
gonna have to be super creative and figure something new out.
Yeah, how many of us outside of the world of science knew that the coronavirus wasn't new? This was just a new strain of it. Most of us, we heard it for the first time on NPR, like I did, and they were like, the novel coronavirus. And then it took a scientist coming on and saying, yeah, the novel part is not applied to the coronavirus. The novel part is applied to this particular strain of it.
The novel part isn't this. It's the fact that we're now infecting humans for the first time. Yep. That's the novel part here.
Yeah, exactly. And so just sort of I mean, I do think that, and this is just from my limited understanding of science, obviously, but, there's always an opportunity for things that we think we have in check or that we do have in check to sort of hop the Shark Tank and devour us.
It's gonna hop the bunny fence.
Yeah, so to me, that's
it's gonna be a giant rabid bunny. Tony's face is great.
Sorry, I don't like bunnies because they're all rabid in my brain. I know they're not all rabid. Biologists, calm down. But
not a fan of Watership Down.
Not particularly, I haven't ever read it, but the only thing I've ever heard is violent bunnies go to war with each other over Bunny Hill, and I'm like, okay,
Tony, it's
sure.
basically like a World War I, World War II, but with bunnies.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah. Ursula Le Guin really appreciated that book because she felt that even when it makes mistakes, it knows that it's making mistakes. And she's just grateful that it's not another anthropomorphized animals wearing clothes going to war kind of thing, because then that would just be lame and stupid. So I'm like, I hear you, Ursula, I hear you. But I'm not exactly rushing to go read a book about a bunch of rabbits fighting each other, because I don't like rabbits. You know.
So if you want to read animals fighting each other, just read Animal Farm.
Yeah, true.
True.
Or you could read Warrior Cats and be more entertained because it's not something super crazy and stuff, and so it's just cats fighting each other every once in a while.
Or even more depressing than Watership Down, Plague Dogs by the same author.
Oh, really? Wow. All right. He had a thing with... All right.
Hit an animal thing.
Speaking of plagues and diseases and stuff and poisons, you know.
Oh, right. Plague. Yeah, Plague Dog. Yeah.
So next time we're going to be reading one of your two books.
I guess we are. Mine.
Maybe yours?
I guess so. I was pointed at.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also your birthday
Yours is
month.
shorter.
Maybe it's because it's also your birthday month, so
That's
we
fine.
should
Oh,
just
yeah.
read both yours and play your game all at the same time.
That works for me. Yeah.
It is a Tony celebration month. We're doing all things.
I don't know if
Tony
it's... I'm
related.
assuming it's available on...
What are we
audio book spaces. It's...
The Diana Wynne Jones
Yeah,
thing, huh?
Reflections by Diana Wynne Jones.
I'll find it.
Which
I'll noodle around for it.
I'm not sure, but I'm actually going to look and see if it's available on Audible since we're still recording and people can hear my voice. But yeah, no, Erin, I really liked this choice. I thought I admittedly started the audiobook like, oh God, I have homework. Let me do my homework. But by an hour into it, I was like, they did what? And then it was time to move to the next chapter. And I'm listening going, wait, what? And that just kind of kept going for
Well, I'm glad
while,
you
so that
guys
was nice.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
It was busy.
Continue.
So.
And what's the name of your book again, Tony?
Reflections by Diana Wynne Jones.
Yeah.
See, I love how we're all just very quietly dead air. We're trying to find this book, everyone.
It is an essay collection. For those of you who are going to read along with us, which I highly recommend that you do. I don't know why I've not recommended that before. That's not the point. The point is, so Reflections by Diana Wynne Jones is a book of essays, a collection of essays and speeches and all those kinds of things that basically kind of, if you think about it, I tend to think of it this way, and I can't remember if she brings this up in her foreword or not, but I tend to think of it as her diary on fantasy, on what, because a lot of it's some of it's her own approach to writing fantasy or writing fantasy for children or writing for children or whatever. But then there are other things like that one that I talked about in a previous episode where she talks about, she breaks down the Lord of the Rings in a really interesting way that I hadn't seen it done before, in a sort of a literary critique kind of way, but she compares each moment that the story changes to a movement in an orchestral piece. And it's beautifully, it's a long essay as you would expect, but it's beautifully and brilliantly done. And once I saw The Lord of the Rings as capable of that, then I went in and could realize and recognize what Tolkien was doing well. Because it's so easy, I think, in today's time where we're still aching to get away from him. Not hard enough, but we are aching to get away from him. And I think that that's healthy. I think there's, that sort of double-edged sort of modern entertainment thinking, which is, well, if it has some bad components and is not a masterpiece, then we can't love it. And it's no. It's still a masterpiece by someone who had issues with black people and other people of color and not smart people because he was an Oxford Don and, non-Christian people because he was a staunch Catholic. Whatever his problems were in his personal life that he may or may not have written about in essays, and certainly whatever makes its way into Lord of the Rings. I mean, there are some things in Fellowship. There are some descriptions in Fellowship of nefarious characters, and you're so just say Chinese, Mr. Tolkien, because that's what you mean. It's kind of obvious. But even with all of those things in the work, there's some really interesting, fascinating things happening on a like writer level that rarely get discussed by modern audiences, just because most audiences are like, yeah, that was good, just like those Peter Jackson films, and they move on, or they go, oh, that was horribly racist, and then they move on. And it's like, a book of that length can be multiple things. It should be multiple things, most often is, and so she just kind of brings all of that home in that essay, which I really respected. So we'll talk about that.